Right now, many people are eating eggs every morning and feeling proud of that choice, thinking they are giving their body exactly what it needs, while something important is still missing from the plate. Eggs are not the problem. That is not the issue at all. The real issue is what gets left out. And over time, that small gap can quietly make the body work harder than it should. That is what most people never hear. They hear that eggs are rich in protein, full of key vitamins, loaded with amino acids, and trusted by health experts everywhere. All of that is true. That is exactly why so many people keep making them every morning without thinking twice. The pan heats up, the eggs cook, breakfast feels clean, simple, healthy. It feels like a win before the day even starts. But here is the part almost nobody explains clearly. When eggs are eaten by themselves, with nothing beside them to support how the body handles that meal, the benefit is only partial. The body gets some value, yes, but it also carries extra strain that never had to be there. And if you are older, that difference matters more than ever. This is not fear. It is not drama. It is a missing piece. Stay with me, because once you see it, you will not look at your breakfast the same way again. The truth is simple. Eggs do a lot for you, but they do not work best alone. They work best with support. And three very common foods can completely change how that meal behaves inside your body, from digestion to energy to long-term protection. Most people already have these foods at home. They are easy, they are affordable, but the effect they create next to eggs is much bigger than people think. Every time you eat protein, your body has to break it down into pieces small enough to use. That is a normal process. It is one of the most basic jobs your metabolism performs every day. Eggs are rich in protein, so when you eat them, your body starts working right away, turning that protein into amino acids for your muscles, tissues, hormones, and repair systems. But protein breakdown also leaves something behind. It creates nitrogen waste, and that waste must be filtered out. The body sends it through the blood to the kidneys where it gets cleared. When you are younger, that system usually runs smoothly and quietly. You do not think about it, you do not feel it, it just works. But with age, the body changes. Kidney function naturally becomes less efficient over time, even in people who are not sick. That means the same high-protein meal the body once handled easily may now require more effort behind the scenes. If eggs are eaten alone, with no fiber, no extra healthy fat, and no antioxidant support, the body receives the full protein load without any help balancing the process. The kidneys get all the pressure with none of the backup. That does not mean eggs are unsafe. It means the meal is incomplete. Think of it like running a strong machine without the support fluids it needs. It still runs, it still moves forward, but the stress builds quietly in the background. That is what makes this so easy to miss. Nothing dramatic happens in the moment. No warning lights come on. But over time, the body pays attention to every repeated pattern. And breakfast is one of the most repeated patterns in life. So if the same incomplete meal keeps showing up day after day, the effect adds up. That is why this matters. Not because eggs are bad, but because they are powerful enough that they deserve the right partners beside them. The deeper truth is this: the body was never designed to process food one isolated nutrient at a time. It was built for combinations, real meals, mixed foods, natural pairings. That is how human beings have always eaten. Protein beside plants, fat beside vitamins, fiber beside everything else. The digestive system expects that kind of teamwork, so when a person sits down to a plate of eggs and nothing more, it may look healthy on the surface, but inside the body it is still missing key signals and support. Eggs contain valuable nutrients, including vitamin A, vitamin D, lutein, and zeaxanthin. Those are not small things. They matter for vision, immune health, skin, brain function, and cell repair. But many of those nutrients are fat-soluble, which means the body needs fat in the same meal to absorb them well. Without enough fat, a surprising amount of that value gets lost in transit. The nutrients pass through the digestive system, but absorption stays limited. So the body sees them, tries to work with them, and still fails to collect the full reward. That is only one part of the story. Protein also behaves differently when no fiber is present. Digestion moves faster. Nitrogen waste rises faster. The gut gets less support. Energy becomes less steady. And then there is the issue of oxidation. Eggs contain cholesterol, and current science makes an important distinction that many people still miss. Dietary cholesterol itself is not the real fear. The bigger concern is what can happen when cholesterol is exposed to oxidative stress in a poorly protected environment. That is where antioxidant-rich foods become important. They help create a safer setting during digestion, so the conversation is not about whether eggs should stay or go. Eggs can stay. Absolutely. The conversation is about whether your breakfast is complete enough for your body to truly benefit from it. And that is where everything changes. Because once you understand what is missing, the fix becomes very simple. The first thing eggs need beside them is healthy fat, and this may be the easiest upgrade of all. Not random greasy food, not just anything oily, real healthy fats, the kinds your body can actually use well. Think avocado, olive oil, walnuts, almonds, seeds. These are simple foods, but when they are eaten with eggs, they unlock a very important door. Inside egg yolks are nutrients your body wants badly, especially as you get older. Lutein and zeaxanthin help protect the eyes. Vitamin D supports bones, mood, and immune function. Vitamin A helps with skin, repair, and defense. But these nutrients need fat to move properly from the gut into the bloodstream. Without enough fat in the same meal, absorption can drop far below what it should be. That means you can eat a good food and still miss much of the benefit. Add healthy fat and the story changes. The body can finally pull those compounds through and put them to work. That alone makes the meal stronger. But there's more. Healthy fats also slow the meal in a helpful way. Instead of the body burning through breakfast too quickly and leaving you tired before noon, digestion becomes steadier, smoother, more controlled. Energy lasts longer, hunger stays quieter. The morning feels less shaky. This is one of those small changes people often notice fast. They feel more even, more stable, more satisfied, and it does not take much. Half an avocado on the side, a drizzle of olive oil in the pan, a small handful of nuts next to the plate. That is enough to change the entire rhythm of the meal. Keep watching this idea in your mind because the next layer matters just as much. Healthy fat helps your body collect what is already inside the eggs, but that is only half the job. The other half is helping the body handle the load that comes after digestion begins. That is where the second food becomes essential, and it may be the one most often missing. The second thing eggs need is fiber. This is where many breakfasts fall apart without anyone noticing. Fiber is often treated like a side topic, something people only think about when they hear advice about digestion or regularity. But fiber does much more than that, especially when protein is part of the meal. When eggs are eaten without fiber, the body processes that protein more quickly, and the waste products from protein metabolism can rise faster in the bloodstream. That means the kidneys get a bigger wave to filter, with less help slowing things down. Fiber changes the pace. It does not block digestion. It regulates it. It helps the body break down and absorb the meal at a more manageable speed, which means the internal workload becomes less intense and more balanced. That is a major advantage for older adults whose systems may not recover from repeated strain as easily as they once did. But fiber does something even more interesting. It feeds the gut microbiome, the huge community of helpful bacteria living in the digestive tract. Those microbes are not just passive passengers, they influence digestion, inflammation, immunity, and even parts of metabolism linked to waste handling. When fiber is present, those bacteria get fuel. When they are fed well, the whole internal environment improves. That means breakfast becomes more than calories and protein. It becomes support for the systems working in the background. Fiber also helps flatten energy swings. Eggs alone may not spike blood sugar dramatically, but eggs paired with fiber can create an even steadier curve. That means more even focus, fewer cravings, and less of that late morning drop that sends people toward coffee, sugar, or snacks just to get back on track. The best part is how easy this is to do. Spinach, berries, zucchini, broccoli, tomatoes with seeds and skin. Even a small serving beside your eggs can make a meaningful difference. And if you think this sounds too simple to matter, stay with me because the third food may be the one that protects the body in the most invisible but powerful way of all. The third thing eggs need is antioxidant-rich food, and this is where the meal shifts from simply filling to deeply protective. Most people do not think about oxidation while they eat breakfast. They do not see it and they do not feel it, but the body lives in chemistry, and every meal creates a biochemical environment. Eggs contain cholesterol, and that fact used to scare people into avoiding them altogether. Today, the understanding is more refined. The bigger concern is not just cholesterol by itself, but what can happen when it is exposed to oxidative stress during digestion and metabolism. Free radicals are produced naturally in the body. That part is normal. But when there are not enough antioxidant compounds available to keep things balanced, those free radicals can interact with nearby substances in damaging ways. This is where antioxidant-rich foods step in. Foods like spinach, tomatoes, bell peppers, leafy greens, berries, and colorful vegetables help neutralize oxidative stress before it gains momentum. In simple terms, they help protect the meal while the meal is still being processed. That matters a lot because when cholesterol becomes oxidized, it can become more reactive. And over time, that is where stress on blood vessels may begin to build. Again, the answer is not to fear eggs. The answer is to surround them with protection. A little spinach in the pan, tomato slices on the side, chopped bell pepper cooked with the eggs. These are tiny changes in effort, but large changes in what the body experiences. This is the kind of protection people miss for years, simply because no one explained it in a way that felt practical. But now you know. And once you know, breakfast stops being a random plate and becomes a strategy, not a hard one, not an expensive one, just a smarter one. And here's the part worth remembering. Healthy fats help your body absorb. Fiber helps your body manage. Antioxidants help your body defend. Put those three jobs together, and the whole meal finally starts working like it was meant to. This is bigger than eggs. That is what makes this lesson worth hearing all the way through, because once you understand this pattern, you start to see food differently. For years, many people have judged meals by what they remove: less sugar, less processed food, fewer snacks, cleaner choices. That way of thinking is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Health is not only about taking things away, it is also about building the right combinations so the body can use what you give it. After 60, that becomes even more important. The body's not failing, it is adapting, it is working with less margin than before, and because of that, efficiency matters more than ever. A meal can look good and still create unnecessary strain. A meal can sound healthy and still be missing the support systems that make it truly useful. That is why the real question is no longer just, is this food healthy? The better question is, can my body fully use this food in the way I need right now? That shift changes everything. A nutrient that is poorly absorbed is not giving full value. A protein-rich meal that overwhelms your system is not as helpful as it seems. A good food without the right companions can still behave like an unfinished sentence. This is why pairing matters. The goal is not perfection. The goal is a better return from the meals you already trust. Eggs stay on the plate, but the plate itself becomes smarter, more complete, more effective. And the beauty of this approach is that it does not ask you to start over. It does not ask you to chase trends or buy rare ingredients or follow a strict plan. It just asks you to stop leaving your body to do hard work alone when a little support can change the outcome so much. And in a moment, I will show you how simple that can look in real life, because this only becomes powerful when it becomes practical. So, what does this look like tomorrow morning? It looks easy. That is the good news. The rule is simple: never eat eggs by themselves. Not because eggs are bad, not because you need to fear breakfast, but because eggs alone leave too much value locked up and ask your body to work without enough backup. The upgraded version is straightforward. Start with your eggs, then add one source of healthy fat. That could be avocado slices, olive oil, walnuts, almonds, or seeds. After that, add one source of fiber, maybe spinach, berries, zucchini, broccoli, or another vegetable you actually enjoy. Then add one antioxidant-rich food. Tomatoes are perfect. Bell peppers work well. Leafy greens are a strong option too. Sometimes one food will cover more than one job, and that makes things even easier. Spinach, for example, can support fiber and antioxidant intake at the same time. Avocado brings healthy fat and a little fiber too, so this does not need to become complicated. It just needs to become intentional. Picture a plate with eggs cooked in olive oil, spinach folded into the pan, and tomato slices on the side. Or eggs with avocado and berries, or scrambled eggs with bell peppers and a few walnuts nearby. That is not a diet plan. That is just a complete breakfast. And yes, one change is enough to start. If all three additions feel like too much at first, begin with one. Add healthy fat first, or fiber first, or antioxidants first. Any upgrade is better than none. The body responds to patterns, and small, smart patterns repeated over time can do more than one dramatic change that never lasts. This is the part many people miss because they want a giant answer. But the real answer is often small, doable, and repeatable. That is what makes it powerful. And if this is already changing how you think about breakfast, keep going, because the effect over time matters more than the first day ever could. In the first few days of making this shift, many people notice something subtle but clear. Energy feels steadier. The morning does not fade as fast. That familiar dip before lunch may start to soften. Hunger may feel less urgent. Cravings may quiet down. These are not flashy changes, but they are real, and real changes are usually the quiet ones first. In the first few weeks, the deeper benefits begin to matter more. Digestion often feels smoother. Meals feel more satisfying. The body may seem less reactive, less drained, less dependent on quick fixes to get through the second half of the day. That is because the breakfast is no longer acting like a simple protein hit. It has become a balanced system. Nutrients are being absorbed more effectively. Digestion is moving at a better pace. Internal strain is being reduced. Oxidative stress is being buffered. Nothing magical, just smarter chemistry. And over months and years, this is where the real story builds. The body loves consistency. It responds to repeated support. A better breakfast every day is not a minor habit. It is a long-term message to your entire system. It says absorb more, strain less, defend better. That compounds. The body you live in a year from now is being shaped by these tiny repeated choices long before you ever notice it in a mirror or a lab result or a conversation with a doctor. That is why this matters so much after 60. Not because you need extreme rules, but because your body benefits deeply from smarter pairings. And once you understand that, food becomes less about guilt and more about design, less about cutting out and more about building in. That is where genuine health gets practical, not in fear, not in perfection, in repeated, thoughtful support. And the most surprising part is that this whole improvement starts with a meal many people are already eating every single day. There is also something important to say clearly before this ends. You were not doing everything wrong. You were doing something good in an incomplete way. That difference matters. People hear advice like this and sometimes feel blamed, as if every habit they trusted been a mistake. That is not the message here. Eggs are still a strong choice. They were never the enemy. The problem was never the eggs. The problem was the empty space next to them, the missing support, the lack of balance around a food that deserved better company. That is why this is not about restriction. It is about completion. It is about understanding that a body in later life does not always need less food. Often it needs better teamwork between foods. That is the shift. The body at 60, 70, or beyond is not weak. It is simply less forgiving of repeated gaps. So when those gaps are closed, even in small ways, the body responds. That response may show up as more stable energy, better digestion, less heaviness, fewer crashes, or simply a stronger sense that your meals are finally working with you instead of just filling you up. That is a powerful feeling, and it is built on something surprisingly ordinary. A few slices of avocado, a handful of spinach, some berries, tomatoes in the pan, bell peppers on the plate. These are not dramatic foods, but next to eggs, they become strategic foods. They turn breakfast into a system instead of a single item. They help the body collect, regulate, and protect all at once. If this is making sense, hold on to that one idea. A strong food can still be incomplete when it stands alone. That single insight can improve far more than breakfast. It can change how you think about every meal, every day, from this point on. So from now on, the rule becomes simple and easy to remember. Never let eggs sit alone on the plate. Give them support. Give your body the partners it was expecting all along. Add healthy fats so the vitamins and protective compounds inside the eggs can actually be absorbed and used. Add fiber so digestion slows into a manageable rhythm, the gut gets fed, and the kidneys do not have to face the full load without help. Add antioxidant-rich foods so the whole digestive environment becomes safer, calmer, and more protective from the first bite forward. One food from each group is enough. And if you cannot do all three every single day, do not quit. Do one, then do two. Then build from there. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to stop eating a powerful food in a half-finished way. That is it. Breakfast can still be simple. It can still be fast. It can still feel familiar. It just needs to become complete. Eggs with olive oil and spinach, eggs with avocado and tomatoes, eggs with berries and walnuts, eggs with peppers and leafy greens. There are many ways to do this, and that flexibility is what makes it sustainable. The body does not need fancy. It needs support. And once that support is there, the difference shows up in the places people care about most: energy, digestion, steadiness, and long-term protection. That is why this message matters. Because it is not asking you to give up something good. It is asking you to finally let something good work the way it was meant to. And that small morning change can quietly shape the rest of your day more than you think. Now you know what many people still do not know. The question was never whether eggs deserve a place in a healthy life. They do. The real question was always what belongs beside them. That is the part that changes everything. Once the plate includes healthy fat, fiber, and antioxidant-rich foods, the meal becomes more than protein. It becomes usable nourishment. It becomes support instead of strain. It becomes protection instead of just routine. And that matters because the body keeps score quietly. It remembers repeated patterns. It responds to what happens over and over again, not just to what happens once in a while. So if eggs are already part of your mornings, this is not a hard reset. It is an upgrade, a smart one, a practical one, a lasting one. And sometimes that is the best kind of health advice there is. Not the kind that turns your life upside down, but the kind that fits into real life so easily that you actually keep doing it. If this opened your eyes even a little, that is enough to start. Because once you see the gap, you can close it. Once you know the missing pieces, you can place them back on the plate. And once you do that often enough, your breakfast stops being just another habit and starts becoming one of the simplest tools you have to support your body well. So tomorrow morning, when the pan goes on and the eggs come out, remember this. Do not change the eggs. Change the company they keep. That is where the real difference begins. And once you make that shift, the meal you thought you understood may finally become the meal your body was hoping for all along.